Hey, thanks for checking out The Solid Verbal. Now would be a great time to subscribe to the channel for college football content all off season long. What stands out to you about the defending champion, the two-time defending champion, Georgia Bulldogs, and what they did?
Yeah, I mean, it's almost predictable. It's a Kirby Smart team, and the focus of this class, just by sheer numbers, is on both offensive and defensive line. It all starts up front. Thank you, David Pollack.
Yep, of course.
And defensive back. So trying to replenish the lines, trying to get good in the secondary. As you said, the number 2 overall class, they had what appeared to be a glaring weakness in air quotes,
of course,
at receiver. Big question at receiver. Of course, Brock Bowers is back. Of course, Ladd McConkey is back. But with A.D. Mitchell leaving, it's like, all right, Georgia wants to get a little bit more downfield. They've done it, but
sure,
they want to do more of it. And I think adding some ammo at receiver can help them do that. So as opposed to addressing that as prominently through the recruiting game, they're very active in the portal. Now, there was an arrest of a gentleman who Rah-Rah came over from Mississippi State, which does not help. I have not seen an update on that status, but they've been active enough in the portal that I think they'll be just fine. The name that obviously comes to mind, somebody who's going to step in, is Dominic Lovick. We talked about him on the show, on the transfer portal show that we did a couple weeks ago. He's someone who I think will come in, give them depth, give them productivity out wide. So I don't focus my attention as much there with this 23 class as I do, again, guys who you could see stepping up and maybe making some hay on that second team level.
Sure.
The name that stands out to me, and maybe it's only because of his size, I don't know, but Jamaal Jarrett. Have you heard the name Jamaal Jarrett, Dan?
No. Please expand on Jamaal Jarrett.
Yeah, Jamaal Jarrett, is 6'6", 340.
Oh, sure.
He's a big dude. And you can never have enough depth along the defensive line, especially if you've got a guy who is that size on the defensive line.
Mm-hmm.
I got to believe you find a way to plug him in. The comp has been Jordan Davis, who was obviously another standout for the Georgia Bulldogs along the defensive line.
Mm-hmm.
He has got that kind of build and that kind of frame. When Jordan Davis was there, we saw him also break into the twos his freshman year back in 2018, whenever that was. So I could see Jarrett taking on a much, much similar path, just given the fact that he's so damn big. And if he does possess that Jordan Davis skill set, obviously Kirby Smart's going to have a place for him.
Oh, yeah, of course. And you look at even last year's class, the guys who saw the field quickly, Mikael Williams, Malachi Starks obviously made an early impact. And it's one of those luxuries that a team like Georgia, that a program like Georgia has, is when you're up 34-3 at the top of the third quarter, suddenly you can play freshmen, suddenly you can play your twos, your threes, and they're getting a ton of playing time. And so if physically that guy is ready, as you said, Jamaal Jarrett?
Jamaal Jarrett, yeah.
Yeah, I don't know the kind of weight he's carrying. That's a big deal as well. If he has the energy, if he has the motor at 340 pounds, if he should be paying at 315 or something like that, I guess yet to be seen. But yeah, these guys, especially Glenn Schumann and Will Muschamp, are going to continue the whole thing of just like rotating in guys, legs fresh. And so Georgia's going to be at a good place, lose a couple of big name guys in this year's class, heading off to the NFL, and Kelee, Ringo, Jalen Carter, some of the headliners there.
Sure.
But yeah, I expect, even if these guys don't play a ton from this class, the top of this class, whether it's a receiver, whether it's defensive lineman, I just expect if they are there physically, if the fitness is there, that they're going to see the field so Kirby Smart can see what he has in this year's class.
Yeah, I mean, and look, when I talk about Jamaal Jarrett, I'm not even talking about some of the highest rated guys in this class.
Right.
I mean, it's an incredible class. It was 2 overall. What do you say? 5 stars.
Mm-hmm.
So whether it's Damon Wilson, the edge rusher out of Florida, Raylan Wilson, the linebacker out of Florida, Monroe Freeling, the big offensive tackle, I don't know if he will get work. It's a good spot for him because Georgia's been good at developing offensive tackles as of late. So whenever he gets in, he's in a good spot. Like, they've got guys here that are far even above Jamaal Jarrett in terms of recruiting ranking.
Right.
And I suppose there's always an opportunity for those guys. But I just think if I'm trying to pick a name from this big list, his size is really appealing to me. And that comp, whenever I see Jordan Davis, it's like, all right, I remember where we were when Jordan Davis was getting all sorts of draft hype.
Sure.
So that's a guy who you would think could come in and make an impact. A 4-star in his own right out of North Carolina.